okay, I don't really get what happened there. And by there, I mean right there, when I sat down and just started playing one of my songs and then ended up putting it on YouTube. And what boggles my mind is how I got there. And you're part of it. Because you see, without these vlogs, I would never have tried to figure out the concept of the unpublished bubble, and I also would never have tried to figure out the psychology of dysfunctional creativity. And the combination of those two concepts specifically and directly freed me to release something imperfect musically to all of you. In Psychology of Dysfunctional Creativity, I talked about the mind game and the problem of being afraid of making and publishing any sort of mistake. While you don't want to waste people's time by releasing absolute trash into the internet and the world and your friend circles, I argued that you also shouldn't shut yourself down from sharing everything just because it's not perfect, because nothing that you do will ever be perfect. The thing that's prevented me in the past from performing in a pseudo-live environment, that is, an environment that I set up with a camera and microphones, but also an environment where I only record in one take, is the fear of publishing mistakes. And that fear of publishing mistakes really affects me not necessarily in the editing phase, but in the performance phase. The only thing that let me quell that stress that I felt at performing when I was filming myself for the last video was that I constantly asserted and reasserted to myself that I was doing it for my own enjoyment, and that the camera didn't matter. And that even if I ruined the take, and even if I wasn't able to use anything that I had filmed and taped, that it would still be a worthwhile use of my time because I was enjoying engaging in the art for its own sake. And this is the mindset of the unpublished bubble. Before I made these two videos, before I tried articulating my understanding of these phenomena and or concepts, I never really had a strong enough grasp upon them to control them in any sense. I mean, I had a vague sense of getting lost in the performance when I was recording my last album, but it wasn't focused enough for me to actually use it intentionally. However, when I was playing for the last video, I intentionally used this concept of the unpublished bubble while aware of the issue of my psychological dysfunctions of creativity to essentially trick my mind into playing a decent performance. Every 20, 30, or 40 seconds when I would start to feel my stress at not making a massive take-destroying mistake rising, I would reassert the concept of the unpublished bubble in my mind. I would tell myself that there was no one else that was ever going to see it, and that would be fine. And then after doing that 5 or 6 times, I reached the end of the song. The fact that it was overall alright is something that I hadn't been able to achieve before. This is like massive for me. This is really, really cool. So thank you. As I was thinking and preparing to make this video, I realized that this isn't really an anomaly. This is kind of the point of why I make this, and why I make this music, and why I do all of this external publishing, writing, and conversing. Vlogs, music, and other creative pursuits give me a reason, or perhaps just an excuse, to spend time and try and figure out the world around me in the way that makes the most sense to me. Systems, trends, rules, phenomena, and anomalies. That's why most of my videos consist of articulating a point of view or expressing some sort of idea in a hopefully cogent manner. And this foreknowledge that my point is going to be expressed to you propels me to try and make it as strong and valid and sound a point as I can make it. Essentially, I'm using you as the motivation to ask the more odd and abstruse and challenging questions. And when that sparks conversation between us, when you have something to add, or you have an objection, or you have a point that you don't think that I've raised, I'm able to address it because I've really spent time thinking about the issue and what I've wanted to say. So considering a new piece of information isn't overwhelming. While music is not as interactive as video and the other social media forms that I engage with you in, you are still as powerful a motivation in what I write. Essentially, the music that I make is an extended mnemonic of the mistakes that I've made and the reasons that I've made them, and hopefully some points to help me not make them again. I want that experience, that understanding to be shared between us. In the end, this makes me think really hard about what I'm learning in my life and whether it makes rational, practical sense. As a result, the process of creating and editing reinforces to me what I'm trying to express to you. So, tell me downstairs, why do you make stuff? This is Jacke Karashae, wishing you productive creativity.